the meeting commission for Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. And I will do the roll call. Commissioner Janovic.
Here.
Commissioner Pressel.
I'm here.
Commissioner Weiner.
Here.
And Commissioner Height.
Here.
We have a quorum. First order of business is election of a chair. Do I have any nominations?
I nominate Diane.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 It is
Congratulations.
approved.
Love it.
You can take over, or if you'd like me to continue, I can.
Why don't you continue
Okay.
for at least this session, and maybe the next several?
Sure. Second order of business is approval of the agenda, which you have in your binders in tab 1. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Oh,
we'll go right ahead.
I would make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? It's approved. Next brings us to public comment. 3 minutes per speaker are allowed for the public to comment on matters before the commission. Do we have anyone from the public here who wishes to comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Next, we move to approval of the minutes of the December 2nd, 2021 session. Those are in your folder with tab 2. I'll give you a moment to take a look at them.
I will move approval of the minutes, December 2nd, 2021.
And I'll second the approval of the minutes
All
of
in-
December 2nd, 2021.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? They are approved. Next, we'll move to commission business, the resolution to determine the salaries of the mayor and city council members for fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year 2026. I will give a little bit of background here. So we have one new member this year, Commissioner Height. So for her benefit and the rest of you, in about, I think it was 2015, there was an effort made to reset the salaries based on looking at the amount of hours that the council members worked, a survey of the council members working, and then applying a living wage type formula to reset the salaries, in addition to looking at some compensation from other cities of similar situations. And then once that was done, the commission moved to establish a formula that they thought was appropriate going forward to adjust the salaries for inflation. That is reflected in the proposed resolution here, which I drafted based on that previous formula. That formula is taking the consumer price index for the prior two fiscal years and the non-union wage increase for the prior two fiscal years and averaging them to determine an increase for the mayor's salary. Then the council members' salaries were set at 50% of the mayor's salary previously. The prior commission expressed a desire to ultimately get the council member salaries to 60% of the mayor's salary through gradual increases. So following that desire from the previous commission, the current draft increases the council members' salaries from 55% last year to 57.5% for fiscal year 25, and then the full 60% for fiscal year 26. So moving in 2.5% increases to reach the 60%. And I think that's all the salient facts. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them, or if you have anything to add. Yes.
I don't have any questions specifically about the 55%, 57.5, and 60. My question is more about the setting of the mayor's salary. How does the baseline get established? And in looking at the comps that you put in the back, I'm just wondering, are we looking at the entirety of the study that has been done, or the surveying that has been done, or are there specific comps that you're using in order to formulate an average or a mean?
So the comps are there for information. The mayor's salary was reset, as I said, I think it was either 2015 or 2017.
Okay.
Based on looking at the hours and trying to establish a living wage for the city of Ann Arbor. So it's not based on the comps at all at this point.
Okay.
It's going from there, and then the increases were tied to inflationary measures.
Okay, so the information in here, as you said, it's just informational to see how if we needed to look at
Yeah.
how do we compare against Detroit or Westland or other like communities in other states and so forth. Okay.
Yeah, the real answer is it's been traditionally provided by the HR department, so we continue to provide it.
Okay.
And you're welcome to use it as a reference point or not. When these discussions in previous years, there's so many different aspects to the different cities. Benefits, whether they're included or not, hours put in, what does it say in the charter, all of these things. And so ultimately it was determined by the prior commission to use a living wage type calculation based on what they thought the hours
Okay.
actually spent were. And the idea was to encourage, you didn't have to be a wealthy socialite to be able to serve. You
Right.
could actually do it and get by.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other discussion, questions?
And I think there was a recognition in linking the city council to the mayor's salary, to recognize that the mayor does have duties above and beyond what a council member has in light of that role.
Right.
Some of it ceremonial, some of it legal. And that we did feel that it was important, though, to link the salaries in some rational way between the mayor and what the council members get. Also recognizing, when we did that analysis several years ago, of how much time council members spend and how many different boards and commissions they serve on. And even though they're not at the same level of intensity as the mayor, they are still very invested and involved in the operations of the city and decision-making of the city. And so that was the reason to link, with the goal ultimately of 60% of what the mayor is receiving. And I think it's true, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that the group reached consensus on this kind of structure previously.
We did.
After substantial discussion,
That's
that we
correct.
came to a unanimous agreement that this was an appropriate way to proceed.
When, I remember it as being 2017, but I agree with you as to the details for the rest of it. And what we found a couple of sessions ago was that if we went with just a percentage basis alone, that the difference between the council member's salary and the mayor's salary, just by the accident of using percentage, actually widened the divide. So then we took a closer look at how we felt that the city council members deserved to not necessarily pull even. I don't think we would have the funds to justify that, but that they not only needed to not fall behind because they were roughly about a third of what the mayor's salary was,
Right.
but that they needed to be brought, I think our resolution 2 times ago was that it should be no less than 50% of the mayor's salary. And then this last time, it was kind of, we just went for closing that gap because these people, they're like part-time employees and they just work nonstop.
Yeah.
Juliet, can you push the button on that mic to turn it from red to green? I think it's not on.
This button- oh.
Yeah. Maybe it's not working.
There it
There we
goes.
go.
Okay, the number of hours that we discussed in the last session that we had, that the city council members were spending per per month was incredibly high.
It was the average of, just the average was 120 hours.
Really?
There were people at the low end who were more like 80, and there were people who were 160, and just said, 120 hours is not part-time. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and then from that, to reiterate the point about equity as well, that we don't want self-funded elites to the only folks that really can afford to make that kind of time commitment, that we want to fully represent the community. And so compensation should be high enough to certainly not discourage and maybe even encourage some people to run
Right.
for office.
serve as an incentive, yeah.
Yeah. I feel good about what the group has decided in the past and what's being suggested here. And I like the 4 metrics for determining the annual increase. You know, assuming that the structure is sound, that annual increase is based on 4 measures of cost of living, basically, and then kind of melding those 4 to come up with an average increase that first is set for the mayor and then for council based on either 57.5 or then 60% of the mayor's salary. So I think that the math works, and I think the structure works.
So just to be clear, so currently, I see you have down here, it's at 55%, and that goes back to when you had indicated, Brian, that it was no less than 50%.
Yes.
And ultimately, it got to that 55%.
That's right.
Yes.
Last time. Okay.
Yes.
I would agree as well. I mean, I think the metrics that are being pulled are very realistic. It certainly shows with the times that we're in right now and how, inflation and the cost of living has really fluctuated over the course of the last couple of years. I think we're now starting to see some leveling off or
Right,
coming down, but
right.
I think we're far away from where we ultimately would hope to be.
And just for the public's sake, that the average of the 4 metrics that were used, CPI change for fiscal year 22, for 23, for city non-union wage increases, and city city non-union for 22 and for 23,
Right.
averages out to 4.4% for the upcoming year, which again, it kind of, to me, passes the smell test of, that seems very reasonable given
I agree.
where inflation has been, and even though it's cooling, 4.4% seems like a very reasonable standard. And we're using methodology, we're not just picking that number out of the air either.
My
Right.
feeling too is that if in future years, whether or not the commission makes recommendations for further increases, which we will probably continue to do, but nonetheless, the council always has the right to reject it. It's up to them to accept or reject. I feel that the metrics that we're working with right now make sense, and even if there's not another increase for the next 5 years, if it comes to that, at least people are better placed than they were before with a clear picture of what the calculations are that go into it and the nature of the importance of the work.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
Juliet, you made a comment about the hours of council. Do we know about, for the mayor, what,
he was
In
in
general?
there, I want to say he was in the 120 range.
Okay.
I don't recall what the exact number was.
It was, yeah, I think he was in the 120 range. So, I mean, he's got a job in addition to this one. There was one city council member that I remember who was putting in over 200 hours. Well, but that, that was her choice. But I was struck by the fact that if you eliminate the people who were the farthest outliers, because
Right.
there was a council member who estimated 55 hours, and I will say I do not believe that. I think that they all underestimated how much they were doing. But if you looked at the range where the average really literally was 120 hours, that's where the mayor was.
okay.
And, the fluctuations on either side, you could just kind of arbitrarily say, yeah, you're probably overestimating, you're probably underestimating.
Is there any other funding that is received by council or the mayor other than base salary? Are
No.
there other stipends or?
No
like,
benefits, no
No,
fringe benefits.
well, no fringe benefits, but are there other, like, do you receive a stipend for going to or being on a certain number of committees or things of that nature?
No, there is I think each council member has a small, it's like $500 maybe, to be
Okay.
used for things like conferences and things like that, which would be reimbursed upon request. And I do not know how many of them take advantage of that. I think that's an annual amount, but other
Okay.
than that, no.
I think it's in the, well, I don't remember if I've got this right, but something in the neighborhood of $500. It isn't a lot,
Yeah, 500.
Yeah.
For each.
so
Okay.
most of them don't take advantage of it.
But yeah, I noticed that the council nor the mayor receive any other fringe benefits.
Correct.
Okay.
I think it occurs to me, and just to review for the public as well, that the nature of this work and being elected in an elected position is that in some ways you're signing up for a 24/7 position. I mean, people can call you or contact you day and night. And
I'm sure they do.
And I'm sure they do. So it's far more than attending meetings or even the numerous boards and commissions that they are, and I think they all work to be accessible always to their constituents. And I, for one, really honor that commitment because you are in many ways giving up a lot of your private life in order to, to be available for that purpose. So to me, the compensation seems very reasonable for what they're doing. And I'm grateful that there are still people in this day and age that are willing to take this on and be in the public sphere and face often public criticism. So I want to applaud elected officials, not just here in Ann Arbor, but in general, for taking on what they do. Can you clarify, Christopher, just what is the process once we have presumably reached consensus on this? What happens next?
Yes, so the council then has 30 days from the date of filing an approved resolution to reject it, and that would need to be done by a 2/3 majority of the council. So typically, I think this would get filed tomorrow, and I would communicate to the council on that day that they have 30 days to bring a resolution. If someone chooses to bring a resolution to council, it will be placed on an agenda and then voted on. That has happened maybe half the times. And if no one chooses to bring one, then it simply takes effect in 30 days after filing.
Okay.
I think I would just say also, I'm sorry.
No, please.
One of the reasons that I felt very comfortable with the progress that we've made over the last several years is that I knew the history in the aughts. There were, I think, a couple of times running where city council just rejected the increase, and it was obviously because of the economic situation. And I'm very confident that that would happen again if need be. So I think they deserve it.
Are you, is council done with meetings this year?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Was it yesterday? Your
Yes.
last? Okay.
The seats are still warm. They were there for
They
quite a
just
while.
left a half hour.
I was going to say.
Yes. So you could either have a special meeting if someone wanted to, or they could schedule it for one of the January meetings, and it
Sure.
would still be within the 30 days, I believe. The first meeting in January.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to all of your points, we're not, this isn't a suggestion of wild spending. This is really well thought out. I think at our last session, we spent a lot of time coming up with this. And just moving forward with the same good plan
Yeah.
seems like a good idea to me.
And we have the benefit of hindsight to look back and say, was this a wise decision? And I think that there's consensus that, yes, this is reasonable. Do you know offhand, Christopher, what the annual budget is of the city? I'm guessing it's 80 million plus.
No, I think it's over 100 now.
No, over 100 million.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important for the public to understand that context as well. I mean, if you compare this to what private industry, $100 million a year company for the folks that are making those decisions. There's serious resources here, and a lot of lives impacted by the decisions that are made around this table. So I think it just affirms again the importance of seeing people properly compensated for the work they're doing.
Christopher, the 100 million, is that all funds or is that just the general fund?
Yeah, I think that's just the general fund.
That's even just
I'm
the general
looking now,
fund, yeah.
and I'm seeing different numbers, but that's not what let's see. 123
General fund?
general fund.
Oh, my gosh.
And so then you obviously have other.
The rest are millage.
State and,
yeah.
Yeah.
state and federal money that's coming in.
Yeah, so the total budget is $500 million, I'm sorry, $500 million, so
$500 million.
500 million.
Okay,
And then the general fund, which is sort of the key one, is
okay.
this is where this is coming from,
Yeah.
is 123.
Okay.
It's not small change
No.
that they're.
And when I really start to look at the numbers here that we have kind of laid out, you look at the current fiscal year 2024 salary of the mayor at 49,757.69, and then you start to read down at the increases that we're proposing, and they're just not incredible increases, and we're not talking about giant leaps. These are a couple $1,000s a year.
Right.
Right.
So this is, it just, this looks very, very normal and rational to me. And like you said, it's, if they feel like it's not right, they'll reject it, as they have in the past.
Any further discussion? If not, we can entertain a motion to approve.
I'd make a motion to accept and approve the resolution that has been prepared. What is it, 23-2027?
Have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is approved.
Okay.
Moving now to communications. Do we have any communications from the commission on any matter?
I'm wondering, Christopher, could you clarify what our terms of office are at this point? How much time we each have left in our terms? And then if we could maybe make an appeal to the public as well about the vacancies that are currently in place and what the process would be if someone is interested in applying to serve on this commission.
Yes, so Commissioner Height, which is appointed, expires 2029. These all expire September 30th. Commissioner Weinert, you expire next year, 2024.
I didn't like the way you said that.
Your term expires.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pressel, your term expires 2026, and Commissioner Janovic, your term expires 2028. The process for application is through the city's boards and commissions website. It's an online application. You can fill it out and express your interest and be considered for appointment. The next session will be in 2025, so it's a bit far out, but we are always looking to add folks. They can also contact me. My contact information is on the notice for this meeting, on the public notice.
Thank you.
I would say that we're all of us sitting here are acutely aware of the fact that when you are down to the minimal number of commissioners, it puts a special burden on all of us to not get sick, not have time off, et cetera. And I am consistently impressed with the fact that whatever our political differences, we have a city council that I swear would do it for nothing. I know that many people have taken that approach. And so in a way, we almost have an uphill climb trying to maintain interest in having commissioners on this board so that we can accomplish what we're accomplishing, because a lot of people really don't care. And it's kind of a pleasant problem to have until you are the only remaining 4 commissioners out of an ideal number of 7. And so I know that you have said, Chris, that you've, tried to push city council on this. I think we need to kind of, on the one hand, give them a shout out, but on the other hand, tell them to get going, because we need more commissioners. We don't want to be put in a situation where we're trying to hold our own at the end of the year. Because if we hadn't been able to pull this off, or God forbid, if something had gone wrong and we had to reschedule it, we're out of time December 31st. There are no options then. And so when we only have 4 members, it's a burden on us that it would be better not to have. So I would love to see some sort of resolution to just inform city council members that this actually has to be a priority.
Yeah.
And maybe they believe that, but I don't know. But if we say it strongly enough, maybe they'll accept it.
Yes, if that's the sense of the body, I can certainly transmit that to them when I notify them of the
Appropriate, yeah.
of the filing.
Yeah.
All right, any further communications? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All approved? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank
Well,
you.